This top is made of two panels, the back panel, the front panel, and then we're going to join them together and then make the sleeves, do the ribbing, and we'll be done with the tutorial. I'm making a size small to medium, however you can make it in any size by taking your own measurements, as I'll be instructing you guys here shortly. Here are the materials used in this tutorial. We have our yarn. This is Big Twist. It's 100% acrylic. It is 380 yards, 170 grams. It's a 4 medium weight yarn. It recommends a 5mm hook, an H8. That's exactly what I'm going to be using. I have these two kinds of yarn and I'm hoping that will be enough, but we'll see how many I might need to add on later. I'll let you guys know. So you have your yarn, you have a pair of scissors, you need a tape measure because you're going to need your measurements, then you need a darning needle and 2 stitch markers. All right, so I'm going to put this to the side. We're starting off with the back panel and this is how it's going to look. So before we get started, you need to know your shoulder to shoulder measurement. So you're going to get your tape measure and place it on your one shoulder to the other, and whatever number you get, that is how long your foundation chain is going to be. So this is the size small to medium and the shoulder to shoulder measurement is 16 inches. And that is how long my foundation chain is going to be. So my foundation chain is going to be 16 inches long. For the length of the top, mine is 15.5 inches long. However, you can make yours longer than this. It doesn't have to be 15 inches because I made mine like a cropped top. So you can decide to make yours longer than this. So yeah, now let's get started. We're starting off with the slip knot. Insert our hook in the slip knot and then we're going to make a chain in multiples of 2. So some people find it hard to find multiple numbers, but make Google your friend, okay? So you can go to Google and type in multiples of 2 and it will give you different numbers, and then you can compare that to your measurements and see how many chains you need to make, okay? So what you need to do is keep counting 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. That's the multiple. Like you keep the number has to be divisible by 2. I hope I'm making sense, but that's what you're going to do. And for my case, I'm going to keep chaining until I get my desired length, and then I'll be back so I can let you guys know how many chains I made. So this is my chain of 60. Whatever number of chains you make, you're going to add 4 more chains, okay? What you're going to do is chain 1, 2, 3, and 4 extra chains. So after the 4 chains that you have added, you're going to yarn over. I like to work in the back bumps of my chain. So I'm going to skip 1, 2, and in the 3rd chain from the hook, I'm going to make a double crochet. So I'll turn my chain around and work in the back bumps of my chain. Okay, you can see these little bumps. That is where I'm going to work into. So I turn my chain, I skip 1, 2, and in the 3rd, make a double crochet in the next, and I'm going to keep going, making 1 double crochet in every stitch until I get to the end. All right, I'm working towards the end. This is my last chain, and this is how your first row should look like. Row 2, I'm going to chain 2 and turn our work, and on top of this first stitch we're going to make a double crochet, and that means this chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook on top of that first stitch and make a double crochet on top of the next stitch, double crochet on top of the next stitch, and you're going to keep repeating, making one double crochet on top of every stitch until you get to the end. All right, I'm working towards the end of row 2. This here is my last stitch. Okay, and that's the end of row 2. Now row 3 is going to be the cross stitch, and that's pretty easy to make as well. It's basically double crochet. So chain 2, turn your work, and on top of this first stitch you always have to start with a double crochet. All right, now we're going to make the cross stitch. So you're going to yarn over, and you're going to skip the next stitch and into the next, insert your hook and make a double crochet. Okay, and then you're going to yarn over, and this time you're going to insert your hook in the stitch that we skipped. Insert a hook in there, pull up a loop and make a double crochet. And by doing that we have crossed the 2 stitches, and that's why it's called the cross stitch. So after that we're going to do it again. Yarn over, skip the next stitch, into the next, make a double crochet, yarn over, go back in the stitch that we skipped and place there a double crochet. And that's what we're going to keep repeating for this row. Yarn over, skip the next, double crochet into the next, yarn over, go back and make a double crochet. All right, I'm going to keep repeating this until I get to the end. I have a few stitches left to work into, and I have 3 stitches left, so I'm going to yarn over, skip the next stitch, and into the next I'll make a double crochet, then go back in the stitch that we skipped and place there a double crochet. While ending the row, make sure you end with 1 double crochet, just like we started with a double crochet, we end with a double crochet on each row. Okay, so if you don't end up with if you don't end with 1 double crochet, that means you may have to add an extra stitch right here at the end. So you may have to unravel and go back and add an extra stitch. Now row 4 and 5, we're going to repeat these first 2 rows that we made of just normal double crochets in every stitch. So chain 2, turn your work and double crochet on top of that first stitch, double crochet on top of the next, double crochet on top of the next stitch, and you're going to keep going, making 1 double crochet on top of every stitch until you get to the end. Okay, so when you make it to the end, you're going to chain 2 and make 1 double crochet on top of every stitch, and I'll meet you back once you get to this side, and I'll show you guys one more time how to work with the cross stitch. So I'll meet you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'll meet you back and we do row 6 together. Okay, this is row 5, and I'm making my last 2 double crochets to complete the row. And this is how your work should be looking. Now row 6, chain 2, turn your work. Again, you start with 1 double crochet right on top of that first stitch. After that, you're going to skip the next stitch and into the next, make a double crochet, yarn over, go back in that stitch that we skipped and place there a double crochet, skip the next stitch and into the next, make a double crochet, yarn over and go back in that skipped stitch and place there a double crochet. And that is how you make a cross stitch. Double crochet, yarn over, go back in that stitch we skipped and place there a double crochet. It's that simple. All right, I'm going to keep repeating this pattern all the way until I get to the end. Okay, I have 3 stitches left and I'm going to make my last cross stitch for this row. And then, like I said earlier, end with 1 double crochet in that last stitch. And this is what you should have. Okay, so after that we're going to repeat row 4 and 5. Okay, that's what is going to go on top of this cross stitch, and we're going to keep alternating between row 3, row 4 and 5. Okay, so 2 rows of the regular or normal double crochets, and then we make the cross stitch row, and that is how the pattern is going to keep going until you get the desired length of it for your top or for the back panel. Okay, so you can make it longer or shorter, it's all up to you. All right everyone, keep going with this pattern until you have your desired length for the back panel, and after that you're going to make the same number of chain you made for the back panel and repeat the same pattern, and that is going to be your front panel. But with the front panel, I need you to come back once you have 3 rows left to complete the front panel. Okay, I need you to come back once you have 3 rows left to complete the front panel, and then we'll do that together because it's going to be a little bit different. Okay guys, I'm back and this is my back panel completed, and I have a total of 32 rows done. So if you want yours longer than this, because like I measured this for you guys at the beginning, it's 15.5 inches long. So if you want your top to be longer than that, you'll have to make more rows before getting to the next step. And like I told you earlier guys, you will start the front panel and come back once you have 3 rows left to make for the front panel. And this is mine right here, and I'll put this one aside. So this is my front panel at this point, and I have 3 rows left to make. But before that, we need to create the neckline. So that is where your stitch markers comes in. And then you're going to count and see how many stitches you need to leave on each side. And then you're going to leave the middle part open, which is going to be for the neckline. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. All right, so I have left 20 stitches on each side of the stitch marker and left this middle part for the head. So this space needs to be big enough for your head to pass through. Now we're going to start working from the side to the stitch marker, and we're going to go back and forth for the next 3 rows, and after that we cut off the yarn, and then we're going to attach it on the other side and do the same thing. Okay, so let's do that. Okay, from where I left off, I'm going to chain 2 and turn my work. So since we last made the 2 rows of double crochets, we're now going to make the cross stitch for this row. Skip the next stitch and double crochet into the next, and then go back in the stitch we skipped and place there a double crochet as well, and then continue with the pattern until you get to the stitch marker. Okay, so once you get to the end, you're going to yarn over and place 1 double crochet in that last stitch. So I was supposed to end right here, but then the pattern will not, like, the pattern will not come out right, so I'll just leave this stitch back here. It really doesn't matter, it's still going to be what I need the top to be, because I need a double crochet at the beginning and at the end for the pattern to work. Okay, so chain 2, turn your work, and then you're going to make 1 double crochet on top of every stitch until you get to the end. All right, this is my last stitch here, so I'm going to make 1 more row until I get to the end, and then I'll cut the yarn. So I'm chaining 2, turning my work, and then again make 1 double crochet on top of every stitch. All right, chain 1, get your scissors and cut off the yarn, and then pull tight. All right, now I'm going to attach my yarn right here on the stitch marker, rather on the stitch before the stitch marker, so right here. And I'm attaching my yarn here because I'm supposed to turn my work, so keep that in mind. Make a slip knot, reattach and chain 2, 1 and 2, and then in that same space make a double crochet, skip the next and into the next, make a double crochet, back in the stitch we skipped, make a double crochet, skip the next and double crochet into the next stitch, back in the stitch we skipped, make a double crochet, and we're going to repeat that until we get to the end. So chain 2 and then make 2 more rows of double crochets, and then we shall move on to the next step. After working on the shoulders, this is what you should have. As you can see, we have the shoulders completed and we have the neckline in the middle. Now what we're going to do next is get our back panel, and we are now going to join the shoulders by attaching them to the back panel. Okay, so before that you need to identify which side you want to be, the wrong side or the right side. I always consider my first row as the right side of my work, so that is what I'm gonna do. And now we have the wrong sides on top and the right sides are the ones that we have at the bottom. So this part here is the right side. All right, so you're going to simply align your work very well. So remember, we have 19 stitches for the shoulder part. You're going to align them with the back panel stitch by stitch and join them together. You're going to get your darning needle and get your yarn, and we're now going to stitch the shoulder parts together. All right, then I'm going to go through the chain 2 as well. Then kind of tie a knot right there. And I'm now going to weave the yarn in a few times just to secure everything and make sure that it won't come out. All right, after weaving it in a few times, then you can go ahead and cut. This is my 20th stitch on the back panel, so I'm just going to start from there so everything, everything has to align. I'll go back in that same first stitch, making sure everything is secured, and then go through each stitch. Rather, go through both stitches at the same time and join them just like you're seeing me do here. All right, once you finish joining the shoulders, this is what you should have. The one thing that I forgot to demonstrate here in the tutorial is leaving out the armholes. So you're going to mark how wide or long you want the armholes to be. Now we're going to make the sleeves and attach them. All right, to make the sleeves, we're going to make something similar to this, and I'll be explaining to you guys how to do it. So grab your yarn, and we're still using the same hook. Get your yarn and make a slip knot. And then you're going to make a chain of 12. So whatever size you're making for this top, we're all going to chain 12 for this part. All right, after your chain of 12, you're going to yarn over, skip 2, and in the third chain from the hook, you're going to make a double crochet. As always, I'm working in the back loops or in the back bumps of my chain. And after that, you're going to make 1 double crochet in every stitch until you get to the end. All right, I'm making my last stitch. After that, this is what you should have, and at this point you should be having a total of 10 double crochets. Remember, the chain 2 does not count as a stitch, so you can go ahead and count them and make sure that you have the right number of stitches. After that, we're going off to row 2. So now we're going to start increasing, because we need our piece to look just like this. It will have to increase as we go. The wider you sleeve, the wider you need to make this piece as well. All right, so we're going to be increasing on each side. For row 2, chain 2, turn your work, and in that first stitch you're going to make 2 double crochets all in that first stitch. And after that, you're going to make 1 double crochet in every stitch until you have 1 stitch left. Once you have 1 stitch left, you're going to make an increase in that last stitch by making 2 double crochets all in that same space. And this is what you should have. We've made an increase at the beginning and at the end. Row 3 is where we make the cross stitch pattern. So chain 2, turn your work, and again start with 2 double crochets in the first stitch. Yarn over, skip the next stitch, and in the next make a double crochet. Then back in that stitch that we skipped, you're going to place your hook and make a double crochet, just like we were doing before. Yarn over, skip the next, and in the next make a double crochet. Then go back in that stitch that we skipped and place there a double crochet as well, and you're going to repeat that pattern until you have 1 stitch left. Once you get to the end, you're going to place there an increase of 2 double crochets. This is what you should have, and now we're going to repeat row 1 and 2, making 2 rows of double crochets as we increase at the beginning and at the end. And that is how the pattern is going to keep going as we increase for the length of your sleeve. Alright guys, so we'll do that again. Chain 2, turn your work, make 2 double crochets in the same stitch, then 1 double crochet until you have 1 double crochet in every stitch until you have 1 stitch left. Make your last increase like so. Chain 2, turn your work, make an increase, and then again here we're going to make the cross stitch row. So yarn over, skip the next and double crochet into the next, go back and double crochet in that stitch we skipped, skip the next stitch, double crochet into the next, and go back to that stitch we skipped and double crochet in it, and then repeat the pattern until you have 1 stitch left. Alright, this is my last stitch. I'm placing there my increase, chain 2, turn my work, make 2 double crochets to start the next row, and then make 1 double crochet on top of every stitch. I'm going to do this for the next 2 rows, well, this one and the next, and then I'm going to repeat the pattern. So you're going to continue with this pattern, making an increase at the beginning and at the end for the next 14 rows, and then I'll be back and we do the last row together. So this one is going to be the 15th row, and we're going to do that together because it's a little bit different. Okay, so be back here shortly. I have 14 rows here completed. However, you can continue making increases until you have the width of your armhole. We're now going to do the last row together like I said. So chain 2, turn your work, and this time you're going to make only one double crochet at the beginning. After the double crochet, you're going to make a front post double crochet over this next stitch. So yarn over, insert your hook between the 2 stitches and push that stitch to the front like so. Going under that stitch, pull up a loop, and then make a double crochet. The next stitch is going to be a back post, so yarn over, insert your hook from the back, and this time you're going to push the stitch to the back like so, and then pull up a loop and make a double crochet. And we're going to keep on repeating that, making a front post and a back post. Front post, back post. All right, let's keep going until we make it to the end. To complete the row, you're going to end with one double crochet on top of that last stitch. Chain 1. You can chain 1 or 2 and then cut off the yarn and fasten off. So you should be having 2 identical pieces looking like so. We're now going to attach them to the top. So here is our top. This is the wrong side. All right, I'm now going to take out these stitch markers because I'm going to need them. So you're going to get the sleeves that we just made, and you are going to align them to the shoulder part, making sure that it's in the center, that the center of the sleeve is right connected to the seam of the shoulder part. Okay, and we're going to do that on both sides, and use your stitch markers to make sure that your work does not move. All right, so for me, I still have my yarn attached to the shoulder seam, so I'll just take out this stitch marker and then use my darning needle to go through the shoulder seam and through the sleeve. Okay, then pull tight. Then continue to go through each stitch and through the side rows of the top, and just join that part first. All right, now once you get to the end, you're just going to pull the longer side of the sleeve and attach it to the top. And this side should be the length that you left, the length or the width you left for your armhole. So you're just going to continue joining the sleeve to the top. I'm going to continue repeating this until I attach the whole sleeve to the top. Okay, so I'll be back once I make it to the end. Alright, I made it to the end and this is how my work looks. I'm now going to fold over the front panel and then I can go ahead and attach the other side of the sleeve to the other side of the top, as you'll be seeing here. So I'll count how many rows I have left at the bottom so that I know where exactly to start joining on the other side of the top. So for me, I left 15 rows at the bottom, that is before the sleeve part. So that is 15 rows. If yours is if your top is bigger than mine or longer than mine, obviously you're going to leave more rows at the bottom. So now I'm just going to attach this side to the front part as well, and it's going to look like this. Remember, we're joining this from the wrong side, so I'm going to turn my top around and then start joining from the other side, because this side right now is the right side. I mean the right side of the front panel. So after I attach this part, I'm just going to flip the top. All right, turn it the other way around and start joining from the wrong side. All right, from here I'm going to go all the way until I get to this point where I started from, around the shoulder part. So it's pretty simple. I'm starting from the other side as well, just so I can secure everything, like so. And I'm not grabbing like a whole lot of yarn. I'm going through like a small piece of yarn and just making sure that it is tight enough and it won't come out. All right, I have joined all the way to the shoulder part and I'm now just going to weave in the rest of the yarn. All right, now let's see how it looks. This is how the sleeve looks. I love it. Okay, this part is still open. We need to join this side of the sleeve as well. So I'm going to count 15 from here, so I know where to start from. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. So on the 16th row, that is where I'm going to start from. So I'll pull this sleeve to the 16th row, and then I'm going to insert my darning needle right there, like so, and pull through. All right, and once you pull through the yarn, You're going to tie a knot a few times. The reason why I didn't do this on the other side of the sleeve is because the yarn was already attached and I just didn't want to cut it off. But this can be an easier way for you guys to do it. So after that, you just keep sewing like we did on the other side of the sleeve. Once you get to the shoulder part, you just continue going, sewing until you get to the other side, as you can see here. Again, to work on the last side of the sleeve, you are going to count whatever rows you left at the bottom before the sleeve started. So mine was 15. So I'll again start joining until I get to the 16th row. The same thing we've been doing. So I'm just going to go ahead and finish. Okay, so once you make it to the end of the sleeve, this is how your work should be looking like. And from here, I'm just going to join this part all the way to the end. Okay, so we have 15 rows left on each side, so I'm just going to go through each side row and attach them to each other. Okay, so I don't want to bore you guys with my joining here, but I'm going to go through it real quick. And then after that, you're just going to cut off the yarn. You're going to weave it in a little bit and then cut the yarn and attach it on the other side and join that side of the top as well, so it can be a completed top. And then I'll be back so we can do the ribbing, and this tutorial will be done after that. So this is how the top looks after joining the sides, and I really love how it turned out. I hope you guys love it as well, but we have one more thing to do, and that is make the ribbing just the same as we have on the sleeve, like what we did with the last row for the sleeve, and we're gonna do that around the neck hole as well. I'm going to insert my hook in the first stitch. You can insert your hook anywhere for this round. Chain 2, yarn over, and in that same space you're going to make 1 double crochet. Then in the next stitch we're going to make a front post double crochet. So yarn over, and you're going to insert your hook under the stitch just like so, and make a double crochet. Make a back post double crochet in the next stitch, make a front post in the next stitch, and you're going to keep alternating between the front post and the back post double crochet all the way around. All right, I'll keep going until I get to the end of the round, and then I'll be back so we can work on the neckline. All right, once you make it to the end, you're going to slip stitch on top of the first double crochet that we made, chain 1 or 2, then cut off the yarn, leaving a long tail that you can weave in later. Okay, now we're going to do what we just did there. We're going to repeat that around the neckline as well. I'm going to make a slip knot. You can start from anywhere, but I'm going to start from the shoulder part. So this is not an actual stitch, so I'll insert my hook through that side row, chain 2, and in that same space you're going to make a double crochet, yarn over, and in the next side row you're going to make 2 double crochets, make 2 double crochets in the next side row, and then you're going to cross over to the next stitch and make a front post double crochet. So after the shoulder part, here we have the actual stitches, and we're just going to make the front and back post double crochet. That means when we get to the other side of the shoulders, we're going to make 2 double crochet in every side row, just like we did for this part that we just finished. And then of course the back of the top, we do the front and back post double crochets as well. Okay, again, when you get to the shoulder part, like I said, you make 2 double crochets in each side row. And then when you get to the other side, you make the front and back post double crochet. So I noticed that here I had left a super big gap, so I had to create another stitch just to kill that gap that I had, and then continue with the front and back post double crochets. Once you make it to the end, you're going to make your last stitch right where we started from, where we have the chain 2 and the double crochet. Remember, the chain 2 does not count as a stitch. So insert there your hook, make a double crochet, and then finish with a slip stitch on top of the first stitch. Chain 1, get your scissors and cut the yarn, and then pull tight. And from here you can go ahead and weave in all the tails. And after weaving in all your ends, you should be having a very beautiful top. I plan on turning this into a dress, so stay tuned for part 2, okay? So I'll just weave in my ends and be done. And if you have watched to the end, let me know in the comment section below. And I thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in part 2 of this tutorial. Okay, bye bye.